I don't have a problem with the WNBA players asking for a raise. The WNBA is on a hot streak. I don't care about the previous 24, 25 years. As an investment, it's starting to pay off. And so this week they wore T-shirts saying, making a statement, you better pay us. But instead of just leaving it at that, a Kelsey Plum for LA had to take a dig at Caitlin Clark.
Kelsey Plum was just put in her place by Colin Cowherd. To be honest, it was past time for someone to say it. Plum chose to disparage the one person in charge of their recent success, even though Caitlin Clark is literally turning the WNBA from a failing league into a lucrative machine. Cowherd didn't hold back, and you'll be shocked by what he disclosed about the WNBA's simmering jealousy. What exactly did Cowherd say then? Furthermore, how can he compare Michael Jordan, his royal heiress, to Caitlin Clark? Please leave a golden goose remark if you agree with Caitlin.
Come on.
T-shirt, just United Front was determined this morning that we had a meeting for, and not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
Oh boy.
Do you want to know how significant this change has been? Imagine this. WNBA players flew on low-cost airlines for more than 20 years, where they were required to pay for water. These women were playing for clubs that were losing money year after year while enduring seasons in deserted arenas. The majority of fans couldn't even find a jersey to purchase if they so desired due to the extremely low retail sales.
But why do you take a shot at the golden goose, Caitlin Clark? You guys were flying before she arrived on one of those airlines that made you pay for a cup of water. One of those airlines that is the planes are the color of a highlighter. Now you're flying private. Okay, if you're in a band and you're staying at the Motel 6 and you add a band member and now you're at the Ritz-Carlton, keep your issues to yourself. All right? You went from a Motel 6 in a sketchy part of town to a 4 Seasons in the shopping district. Stop talking.
After Caitlin Clark arrived, things abruptly altered. We are discussing a 500% rise in sales of items. 500%. The league saw a 40% increase in attendance, with some cities selling out games that formerly drew just a few thousand spectators spread across enormous facilities. Franchises that were losing money all of a sudden turned a profit. One of the league's worst financial collapses, the Indiana Fever now have a waiting list for season tickets.
I don't mind the T-shirts. I think you have leverage. I think you deserve more than 9%. But it's just misstep after misstep. It's time to grow up, girls, fast. This is the player that got you off the airline that was bright yellow. Right? She got you an upgrade to a better hotel as a band member.
However, this is what actually energizes Cowherds. These same players are suddenly enjoying private aircraft, better lodgings, and more compensation after barely making ends meet on low-cost airfares. The league's financial situation has drastically improved, allowing players to enjoy privileges that were unthinkable just 2 seasons ago. However, some veterans continue to gripe about the individual who made it all possible.
I think they deserve a big raise, maybe not 50% of revenues, because NBA stars, there's a lot of them, and they move the needle. The WNBA stars, well, there's one that moves the needle. And here's the other thing to remember. Caitlin Clark's already rich. She made $11 million this year alone in endorsements off the court. So regardless of how these negotiations go, she's set. Nobody else is, right? So when somebody joins the band and everything gets upgraded, just be happy.
Let's be honest about what transpired. BY himself. Clark transformed this league from a non-profit into a successful enterprise. Every time she performs, the TV ratings rise. Because they know she attracts viewers, sponsors are splurging on the WNBA. Engagement in social media has skyrocketed. Young ladies are purchasing Clark jerseys more quickly than they can produce them. Whether they choose to acknowledge it or not, every player in that league is impacted by the ripple effect. This is the point at which Cowherd becomes extremely frustrated. He witnessed this change in real time and finds it incomprehensible that certain players are biting the hand that feeds them. Why would you be critical of the individual who brought about your victory when you have been fighting for decades and are finally winning?
I know you wanted your song to be the first one they played. You wanted to make up the set. But I mean, it's not the t-shirts. You're going to do fine. I'd scale back on the Caitlin Clark angst.
Cowherd's comparison of the league's evolution to moving from a Motel 6 in a dubious area of town to a four-season location in the shopping district was spot on. Everything about Clark's contributions to the WNBA is encapsulated in that sentence. The respect for major sports media, the financial stability, the accommodations, and the care. Because one athlete gave women's basketball previously unheard of attention, everything improved. However, some seasoned athletes continue to act as though nothing has changed, stuck in the past. They are whining about the person who got them out of the Motel 6 while living in four-season luxury. Cowherd could no longer deny the harsh revelation made by the WNBA All-Star voting results. The voting process for All-Stars is rather simple. Players vote for the people they believe should be recognized, coaches select reserves, and fans vote for their favorites. This is significant because All-Star choices have a direct bearing on legacy development, endorsement agreements, and how these players are remembered in the past. Being selected for the All-Star team, in particular, confirms the influence of young players and positions them for more possibilities.
Caitlin Clark finished 9th in player voting. In fact, she finished behind one of her own teammates in player voting for the All-Star game. The pettiness has no bounds. But it's interesting, for years, the WNBA players were pointing fingers. They were saying people are sexist, the media is sexist, we're not being promoted, we're underappreciated. And then they get the golden goose and they don't like what it looks like.
Which guard did the fans think Caitlin Clark was the best? Where was she ranked by her fellow players? The ninth. The same players who benefited from her success rated 9th, including the league's top draw, the person in charge of sold-out venues and record product sales. The vote was also not close. There was a huge disconnect between player recognition and fan support.
Iowa girl, Indiana girl. Well, who knows, and I've said this for years, when the wave hits, ride it. You don't know what it looks like. Don't fight it. When Puka Nacua went in the 5th round of the Rams and they suddenly in camp went, oh, we just found a new number 1 receiver. He's better than Cooper Kupp. They didn't fight it. Did you think when you watched Tom Brady at the Combine, that looked like the GOAT? They had just signed Drew Bledsoe to a $103 million contract. That was a lot of money back then. And then a year in, they're like, we're going to go with Brady. They didn't fight it.
Let's be honest about the true meaning of this ranking. It was unrelated to the basketball player's performance. Clark was setting records one after another and putting up astounding figures. All-Star recognition was validated by the statistics. This had to do with something quite different, something far more intimate. Consider other youthful sensations throughout the history of sports. Even if they didn't enjoy the attention LeBron James received, senior players acknowledged his talent when he first appeared on the scene. The tour veterans may not have enjoyed being overshadowed when Tiger Woods was a young player, but they valued his contributions to the game. The pushback appeared so blatant and trivial, which makes the Clark case feel different. As Cowherd saw these vote results, he didn't hold back. He termed it pettiness, which is precisely what it was. He brought attention to the fact that several WNBA players were displaying a total lack of gratitude for the individual who revolutionized their league. These participants were deliberately acting against their own interests rather than adopting what he referred to as the golden goose.
You know, there's obviously a racial component here. The WNBA players, they just don't like what the wave looks like. They wanted to fly private. They wanted to be more popular. They wanted a better deal in the CBA, which they'll get. They wanted sold out arenas. They got it. They don't necessarily think it should be this. But again, you can't fight it. You just never know what success looks like.
This is what aggravates me even more. Clark's popularity has directly aided players like Kelsey Plum and AJ Wilson. As more people become aware of the WNBA, their personal profiles have expanded. Due to Clark's contribution to the league's revenue, their pay and working conditions were enhanced. However, they placed her lower than players with much less influence when it came time to demonstrate professional respect through all-star voting.
Every company in the country would love to go viral every day for free marketing. If they knew how to do it, they'd all be viral every day. Like, you just don't know. Is it authentic? It touches people. There's a tentacle of emotion involved, and suddenly some small town kid goes viral, or a singing frog. Who knows? I wouldn't have guessed that Caitlin Clark would be this transformative. I wouldn't have guessed Tom Brady would be the GOAT. Don't fight it. The wave, the meteor, doesn't necessarily look like you think it's going to look.
Everything we've witnessed on the court this season is directly related to this voting dispute. The blatant targeting, the hard fouls, and the needless contact all originate from the same spot. Some seasoned athletes find it difficult to accept that a sophomore altered all of their preconceived notions about their league. They're venting their annoyance by criticizing Clark for their own accomplishments during games and by voting for All-Stars.
People are saying, hey man, this league has never made money. It's an investment. It's now going to make money. And by the way, this is the least profitable, arguably, it'll be over the next 10 years. It's only going to get more profitable as women's basketball gets better, as the Caitlin Clark momentum train gets bigger. I mean, this year, she's not playing well. She's hurt. She's not there for all the games. So this is actually not as great as it could be. Like Michael Jordan, hurt year 2, next 12 years were legendary. That's what it's going to be.
Although the parallel that Cowherd made makes the Clark scenario very evident, some individuals find it unsettling. Jordan and Clark both came in as flamboyant rookies who abruptly switched leagues. Jordan made the NBA an international sensation. Additionally, Clark is currently performing the same function for the WNBA. The similarity is so clear that you can't help but wonder why more people aren't discussing it.
Caitlin Clark's gotten really good really fast. It's like the end of year 1 for Michael Jordan or year 3 for Michael Jordan. She's gotten really good really fast. And you got to put a body on her, or you got to double team her, or she's going to embarrass you. She's shooting 33-footers. And what happened last night's a byproduct of that. This is what happened to MJ. She's number 1 and 2 in every offensive stat. She's hitting more threes this season than Steph Curry did in his first MVP season, and her game embarrasses you.
The entire narrative is revealed by the physical abuse that both players received. Jordan was subjected to the Detroit Pistons' notorious Jordan rules, which were created especially to wear him down by making violent contact. Throughout the season, Clark has had to contend with comparable targeting. Similar to how they are currently struggling with Clark, officials had a difficult time protecting Jordan in his early years. Officials are allowing a lot of things that seem nearly wrong in relation to Clark's treatment in court, Cowherd noted.
It's a little bad boys Pistons with MJ. For the record, Caitlin Clark got up. She wasn't hurt. She did more trash talking. She hit more threes. She remained remarkable, just like all the great. If you respect women, stop pandering. She's tough. She's feisty. She likes to taunt and talk. And nobody quite knows what the hell to do.
Do you recall the time Clark had to miss a game due to an injury? When teams attempted to physically frighten Jordan early in his career, that is precisely what happened. These generational skills brought to their leagues were too much for the officiating to handle. Both leagues had to come up with ways to keep its best players safe while still permitting basketball competition.
Steph Curry's first couple years in the league. Thank God for Draymond Green. And by the way, this league, they knew what they were getting into, right? Like, and I'll get to this in a second, but they brought Sophie Cunningham over in a trade for a reason. She's the youngest black belt in the state of Missouri's history, 6 years old. They brought her over to protect Caitlin Clark because they saw this puppy coming. The league doesn't quite know what to do, but the Fever did. And so, again, you got to put a body on her. You got to get physical.
What did both teams do? They introduced enforcers. Charles Oakley was acquired by the Chicago Bulls to guard Jordan. Sophie Cunningham was acquired by the Indiana Fever to assist Clark in the same way. The Fever, like the Bulls, realized they needed to defend their star, according to the Cowherd. This is not an accident. When you have a player who changes everything, it's smart business.
Go look at the history of basketball. High school, college, WNBA, NBA. If there's an offensive player and they're humiliating you, Steph, Shaq, MJ, Caitlin, what do? You can't trap her. She'll dribble through it. You got to put a body on her. You got to double team her. You try to get in her head with trash talking. It's not working at all. It's the ultimate compliment, in my opinion.
The narratives of the TV ratings and goods are the same. Clark was called a dynastic TV rating changer by Cowherd. Jordan's rookie impact was described in the same way. Both athletes instantly became must-watch TV. The NBA's spike in viewership and item sales following Jordan's arrival is also happening in the WNBA. This is the reason why some individuals find this comparison unsettling. Veteran players who felt eclipsed by the newcomers harbored deep animosity toward both Jordan and Clark. Similar to how NBA veterans first objected to Jordan's quick ascent, some WNBA players dislike the attention Clark gets. This animosity is genuine and persistent, as demonstrated by the All-Star voting debate.
And so the first year Caitlin Clark was in the WNBA, they were hazing her. They're not hazing her anymore. They're just trying to figure out how the hell to stop her. It's not hazing. It's, all right, traps, pressure. So the Fever saw it coming. They went and got Sophie Cunningham, 6-year-old black belt. This is what the Bulls did with Charles Oakley to protect Michael Jordan.
Everything is completely connected with the popularity of the college. Jordan's NBA makeover was a direct result of his fame in North Carolina. The WNBA is benefiting from Clark's Iowa fame in a similar way. Both players revolutionized their respective leagues by bringing sizable collegiate fan bases into professional basketball. Cowherd is convinced that Clark will overcome the present obstacles because of this contrast. Like Jordan's early problems made him unbeatable later, he thinks Caitlin Clark will only get better as a player as a result of this. Accepting this change rather than resisting it is essential to the WNBA's future.
Caitlin Clark now is like kerosene to the physicality flame. So you have physicality in this league, and now you get this flashy player, and they don't know how to officiate her, they don't know how to defend her. But I would say, when I hear this, Colin, the WNBA, Colin, has got to do something. Yes, they do. Understand, this is the arc of a new superstar in your league. It'll start with hazing, it'll go to physicality, it'll go to flagrants, it may go to technicals. You'll eventually have to get a Sophie Cunningham or a Charles Oakley. I mean, Wayne Gretzky did this for years. They figured it out in hockey. How do you stop Gretzky? Oh, we can't. How do you stop MJ? We can't. How do you stop Caitlin Clark? You guys understand, this is the worst she'll ever be. She's getting better, and they can't stop her.
The final forecast for the Cowherd fell like a hammer. The future of the WNBA depends on Caitlin Clark. Clark's second season trajectory will change the way this league functions, whether the envious veterans like it or not. The WNBA is finally turning the financial corner they have been pursuing for decades, according to Cowherd, and the momentum is growing. There is now more than one player involved. This concerns a radical change in women's basketball. This is the option that veteran players now have. Clark's wave can either sweep by you, or you can embrace it. This is made abundantly evident by the financial reality. The league's ability to leverage Clark's popularity and her ongoing success will determine TV deals, sponsorship funding, and those pay raises that everyone desires. The league is on a hot streak, and the momentum is excellent, according to Cowherd. If you pass up this chance, you might not get another one like it.
Intensity and heat create steel. This will only make Caitlin Clark a better player. It will only make the Fever more championship ready. And the Indiana fans, good for you. You're going to have the great watch of the next 15 years because they're never trading her. She's the Steph Curry. They're never trading her.
Examine how other sports leagues responded to comparable circumstances. Some veterans adjusted and prospered alongside the new generation of brilliance. Others were left behind because they resisted. The astute players are aware of what is going on and adjust their positioning accordingly. Players like Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexi Hull have all done just that. Rather than opposing Clark's success, they have embraced playing with her. They helped Clark through her hardships, shared in her successes, and developed a bond that is advantageous to all. Instead of being seen as barriers to Clark's ascent, these guys will be viewed as integral to it. Their careers will benefit for years to come because they opted for cooperation over rivalry. If the league makes a complete commitment to the Clark era, what will 2025 look like? Imagine stadia that are sold out being the rule rather than the exception. Sponsorship agreements that have a real financial impact. Due to the fact that their heroes are professional basketball players, young girls wear WNBA jerseys to school. Ratings for television that force networks to defend their rights to broadcast. If everyone supports it, this is what the herd of cows would look like.
Now, Caitlin Clark is obviously the jet fuel. Half the audience goes when she's not there, but that's okay. It took Conor McGregor to the UFC and John Jones. Sometimes in emerging leagues, it takes a superstar. And now America is all into UFC. But it does take sometimes these special athletes, and it can get really, really bumpy.
However, what occurs if resistance persists? The league divides into two groups: those who are obstinately opposing their own success, and others who are riding the Clark wave to success. Even when the decision seems clear, some players continue to make it more difficult than it has to be. Cowherd made his most audacious claim regarding why Clark will shape the upcoming 10 years irrespective of domestic politics. The figures are honest. The financial shift is already taking place, and the fan involvement speaks for itself. Clark has emerged as the face of women's basketball, whether seasoned players like it or not. The league has two options: accept this fact and go on as a team, or watch as some players fall behind while others flourish with a superstar who revolutionized everything. Whether or not everyone agrees, the change is taking place. The Cowherd's message is straightforward: appreciate the golden goose instead of biting the hand that feeds you. Given the WNBA's extraordinary expansion, it makes little sense to oppose its achievements. Do you want to help women's basketball undergo significant change? Returning Caitlin Clark and the athletes like Lexi Hull, Aaliyah Boston, Sophie Cunningham, and Kelsey Mitchell, who are astute enough to welcome this change. These players are setting themselves up for long-term success and are aware of what is going on. If everyone stops arguing and starts cooperating, 2025 might be the year the WNBA finally gains recognition in the mainstream of sports. Please leave a golden goose remark, like, subscribe, and enable all notifications if you support Caitlin so that you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next video. Click the video on the screen.